Hey guys, what's up? So this is the ultimate course on environment and ecology where I'm discussing 1000 MCQs, and by the time I'm done with it, like, you don't need to study anything at all for environment static portion. Obviously you'll need to study the dynamic portion because I can't predict that what is going to happen in future. We have already covered 150 MCQs till date, and just 850 more to go. So let us discuss the environment and ecology MCQs, question 141 to 150. An area of land that contains an exceptional number of endemic species and is threatened with destruction is known as, so, a hotspot. So answer where comes D. So a national park is an area which is strictly reserved for the betterment of wildlife and biodiversity, and where all the activities are not permitted. Biome is an area that is like a huge area classified according to the plants and animals that live in it. And a sanctuary is a protected area, and limited private ownerships and all that are allowed here. National park, nothing is allowed, and biosphere reserve can have national park and sanctuary inside it. Okay. Question number 142. Lichens, which are fungus plus algae, mutualistic symbiotic relationship, inhabiting a barren lava covered land is an example of. Pioneer, obviously it is the first species that is coming. Climax is the last species that comes. So answer here is A, pioneer species. So pioneer species are hardy species which are the first to colonize a previously disrupted or damaged ecosystem, beginning a chain of ecological succession that ultimately leads to a more biodiverse steady state ecosystem. Intermediate species and climax community are the organisms which succeed the pioneer species in the due process of succession. So answer here is A. Which of the following statements are correct? Members of a biotic community in an area are dependent on one another. That is there. Plants and animals have well established interdependence for reproduction. Yes, 100%. Birds and mammals help in dispersal of seeds and fruits. Yes, through acting as a pollinating agent. Answer is D, 1 to 3. So interdependence between the members of a biotic community is shown in their interaction mainly for food, space, reproduction and protection. And the statement 2 is illustrated by the role of insects in pollination as well. Question number 144. Which biome has the following characteristics? Low biotic diversity. It cannot be tropical rainforest. It cannot be tropical deciduous forest. It in fact cannot be even grasslands. Short season of growth and reproduction. Simple vegetation structure. The most suitable here is tundra because it will have short season of growth and reproduction because most of the time it is covered with snow, and simple vegetation structure. Only very few species are here. So extremely cold climate, low biotic diversity, simple vegetation structure, limitation of drainage, short season of growth and reproduction, energy and nutrients in the form of dead organic material, large population oscillation. So these are some of the feature of tundra biome. In grassland ecosystem, which of the following belongs to the highest trophic level? Answer here is C, that is carnivores. So they belong to the highest trophic level because they are the one who sits on the top and eats everyone else, while the bottommost is the trophic one or the plant or the producer level. So in a grassland ecosystem, carnivores will lie on the top of the food chain, and hence they will belonging to the highest trophic level. Producers, that is the plants, the grasses, will belong to the trophic level 1, and herbivores will belong to the trophic level 2. Question number 146. A high density of tiger population in a region can result in. Answer here is intra-specific competition. So intra-specific competition is an interaction whereby the members of the same species compete for the limited resources. This is the worst form of interaction. It kills the fitness of all the organisms in the species, like man competing with man. Interspecific competition is like buffalo competing with cow for water. So it is a form of competition in which individuals of different species compete for the same resources in an ecosystem. It is not that hard. Predation is basically a biological interaction where a predator, an organism that is hunting, feeds on its prey, the organism that is attacked. And secondary succession is basically a series of community changes which takes place on already colonized structure, but it is disturbed or damaged habitat. Question number 147. Which of the following statement is correct? Parasitism is any relationship between organisms of different species in which one organism is inhibited or destroyed while the other organisms remains unaffected. That is amencilism. For example, penicillium and any other bacteria, or allelopathic effect of certain plants where their roots secrete some chemicals which basically destroys the nearby plants, and nothing happens to the plant which secretes the chemicals. They are unaffected, but the nearby plants get destroyed. So that is called as amencilism. Amencilism is where one species benefits at the expense of other the host. So this is what we call as parasitism. So for example, tapeworm or ascaris roundworms living inside human beings, they will be a parasite. Answer here is D, neither one nor two. So they have basically reversed the role. So amencilism is any relationship between organisms of different species in which one organism is inhibited or destroyed while the other organism remains unaffected, while parasitism is where one species benefits at the expense of other, which is called as the host. Which of the following is the major metal pollutant released from an automobile engine? Answer here is lead. So lead is the most dangerous, most hazardous metal pollutant present in the automobile exhaust, but now they have certain filters, catalytic converters, which decreases it, and lead free petroleum is also available now. And lead also damages kidneys, brain, especially hearing and physical growth, and it causes learning difficulties, behavioral problems, tooth decay, many other long term serious health effects. Question number 149. By the way, if there is excess lead, then it is called as plumbism. Which of the following events will most likely cause secondary succession? Forest fire, yes, for sure. Harvesting, yes. Hurricane, yes. Forest fire and hurricane are same here. Harvesting is also the same. Basically, you are uprooting or destroying the existing vegetation to a certain extent so that it allows other species to come and thrive. So secondary succession is an ecological succession that begins where an ecosystem was disturbed by an event such as fire, flood, harvesting, or hurricane that reduces an already established ecosystem, example a forest or a wheat field, to a much smaller population of species. That is absolutely correct. And intermediate stage found in ecological succession in an ecosystem advancing towards its climax community is known as. So answer here is A, serial community. So seer is basically an individual stage which a species can occupy within the ecological succession. So a serial community or seer is an intermediate stage found in ecological succession in an ecosystem advancing towards its climax community, and in many cases more than one serial stage evolves until climax conditions are attained. So thank you. Hey guys, what's up? So let us discuss question number 151 to 160. And in this course, I am trying to put 1000 MCQs, which will cover all the important static concepts of environment and ecology, because there is not one good book in the market like Lakshmikant for polity. So that is why I thought I'll make a book out of a course, and you can just watch it, and there is no need to read for static portion. Obviously, there is a lot of current affairs, so that you will need to cover on your own. Consider the following statements about ecological succession. It is a random and bidirectional process. This is absolutely wrong. It is a unidirectional. It is a very thought out sequential change in the species composition of a natural community. So this statement is absolutely wrong. Species diversity increases as succession proceeds. So that is correct. So second statement is absolutely correct. And the food chain relationships become more complex. More complex the food chain and the food web, better it is for the environment. So answer here is C, that is 2 and 3. So ecological succession is a unidirectional and sequential change, and the sequential progression of species during this succession is not random, and at every stage certain species have evolved life histories to exploit the particular conditions of the community, and this situation imposes a partially predictable sequence of change in the species composition of communities during the succession. And as your succession goes on, the complexity increases, the food web increases, the number of species increase, and finally you have climax community. Question number 152. Which of the following statement is or are correct? Troposphere is thicker over the equator than at poles. Yes, that is absolutely correct. So regions near equator receives more sunlight than the poles, making them hotter and less air dense. So equatorial gases will reach greater heights, and hence the density of air is less at equator and greater at poles. So density of the air is less at equator and greater at pole. So that is also correct. So answer here is C, both 1 and 2. So regions which are near the equator, they receive more sunlight, okay, than the poles, making them hotter, okay, and less air dense, okay. So equatorial gases will reach greater heights to exert the same pressure as at the poles. Hence the density of the air is less at equator and greater at poles, but troposphere is thicker at equator than at the poles. Question number 153. The gradual reduction in the amount of global direct irradiance at the Earth's surface is known as, so that is called as global dimming. So answer is C. So global dimming is the substantial decline in the amount of the sun's energy which reaches the Earth's surface, and it is not thought to be due to the changes in the sun's luminosity, as these have been too small to explain the magnitude of dimming observed, and instead air pollution from human activity, that is thought to be the major contributor in global dimming. And aerosols which form from pollution can directly reflect absorb radiation before it reaches the planet's surface and make clouds brighter, longer lasting, meaning they reflect more sunlight. Question number 154. Which ecosystem has the following characteristics for plants found in them? So they have smaller leaves and stems. So mangroves don't have smaller leaves. Tropical evergreen forest don't have smaller leaves. Tropical deciduous forest don't have smaller leaves, but desert ecosystem have smaller leaves. Extremely extended and deep root systems. So that is typical of desert ecosystem. Abundant thorns and needles to protect from being eaten. Hair, wax or dust that covers the leaf to protect from transpiration losses. So answer here is pretty straightforward. Answer here is D, that is the desert ecosystem. So smaller leaf and stem size allows the plant to concentrate its water instead of spreading it out over a wider surface area. And scarcity of water in desert has made plants to develop deep and extended roots to seek out water, and moisture basically evaporates through the leaves, and leaves are used for photosynthesis, turning sunlight into energy for the plant to grow. Hence they have tiny leaves to reduce water's escaping while still allowing the photosynthesis. And since the plants store moisture inside themselves, they require some sort of protection against these animals. So answer here is D. Question number 155. Primary productivity is highest in which of the following ecosystems? So answer is tropical rainforest or tropical evergreen forest. So net primary productivity is basically the energy converted for the most part by green plants from solar energy to the chemical energy, and primarily in the form of sugar, minus the energy lost through the transpirations. And it is affected by temperature, availability of water, carbon dioxide, nutrients, and by the efficiency of conversion of light energy to the chemical energy of carbohydrates. And since in the tropics where rainforests are found, water, light, high temperatures are readily available, and there is a dense concentration of green plants at all the levels from the lower stories to the canopy, and it is no wonder that these forests have very high level of productivity. Question number 156. Predation influences the fitness of, so both predator and prey. So answer is C. So the predator prey interactions are bidirectional. So for example, if deer becomes faster, cheetah is also evolved to become faster and more agile, and if cheetah becomes faster, then deer have to become more fast. So the fitness of prey and predator should be dependent on their counterparts' personality types, and the different composition of predator prey personality may influence prey fitness in a population. And in a population with a high density of more aggressive predators, being a more predictable prey can lead to higher fitness of predator, and prey can even go extinct. And in contrast, when the population has a high density of more docile predators, being more unpredictable may lead to higher fitness. Question number 157. Biotechnology is the exploitation of natural resources at the microbial and molecular level for benefit of mankind. So that is correct. Human Genome Project has helped to determine the exact cellular composition of all human organs. No, this is wrong. It is just the nucleotide sequence that make up the DNA. Okay, so thoda zyada ho gaya. So answer here is statement 1 is correct, and it was there for the nucleotide base pairs of the human beings. Question number 158. The interaction between penicillium and bacteria is an example of, so that is an example of amencillism. So penicillium is a fungus that produces penicillin, which is an antibiotic. So fungus does not get affected in any way, but bacteria get killed. So that is a type of amencillism, when one species does not get benefited, but one species get harmed and other does not have any repercussion. That is an association between an organism of two different One is inhibited or destroyed, other is unaffected. So for example, the bread mold penicillium as secretes penicillin is an example of amencalism. Question number 159. Which of the following constitute a population? All the individuals of Indian sandalwood species in a given area. That is correct. A group of leeches of the same species present in a given area. So that is also correct. All predators present in a given area. That is wrong. All predators does not constitute population because it will include predators of different species. So answer here is C, 1 and 2. So in ecology, a population is a group of individuals of the same species inhabiting the same area, functioning as a unit of biotic community. Statement 1 and 2 constitute a population because they are talking about sandalwood trees, leeches, etc. But statement 3 is not. And last question for the today is, consider the following terms: ultimate community, serial community, climax community. Which of the following represents final stable community in an ecological succession? So answer is climax, that is B3 only. So the final or stable community in an ecological succession is the climax community or climatic vegetation, and it is self-perpetuating in an equilibrium with the physical habitat. There is no net annual accumulation of organic matter in a climax community, and the annual production, use of energy is balanced in such a community. So answer here is B3 only. Thank you for watching this lesson. Hey guys, what's up? So let us discuss environment and ecology MCQs, question number 161 to 170. And this is a really important course because it will really help you, these 1000 MCQs, to solve every question which is possibly asked in the static portion of UPSC, if provided if you go through the description very well. Which of the following are the main reasons for the gradual erosion of Taj Mahal? Sulfur dioxide emissions from the factories. Yes, this is a very important reason. Then there is vehicular pollution. Yes, so that is also a very big reason. And then there are insects. So yes, that is also correct. So answer here is D, 1, 2, 3. So when it comes to Taj Mahal, there is a lot of industries in Agra. So sulfur dioxide, which is emitted from factories near the Taj Mahal, results in acid rain, because H2SO4 and nitric acid are responsible for acid rain. It causes surface discoloration, and exhaust from trucks, buses of tourists has also contributed to this problem. Now swarms of insects which are breeding in a polluted river near the Taj Mahal are threatening the intricate marble inlay work by leaving green and black patches of waste on its walls. Okay, because when they defecate, so everywhere you will see that only. So there are huge issues, and like this is the most marvelous creature ever created by mankind, so we should definitely protect it. Highly mobile organisms as well as higher life forms have. So if you have highly mobile organisms, they have to have higher respiratory rate. Okay, and highly mobile organisms like higher life forms such as mammals, we also have a very high respiratory rate. So answer is C, higher respiratory rate. So respiration means energy which is required to keep the metabolism of organism going on. So respiration leads to the production of ATP, which in turn is the cell currency. So highly mobile organisms as well as higher life forms such as mammals have higher and not lower respiratory rate. So that point I think should be clear. Question number 163. Consider the following statements. Primary producers convert only a small fraction of sunlight to chemical energy. Yes, that is correct, absolutely correct. Primary production is the rate at which plants produce new organic matter through photosynthesis. So yes, both the statements are absolutely correct. So primary producers cannot convert, like they are around 1 to 10% maximum. That is the conversion that is possible. 99% of the sunlight goes waste. Do you know this? And primary production is basically the rate at which the photosynthesis occurs and the new organic matter is produced. So only a small fraction, as I told you, 99% of the sunlight goes waste, and less than 2% of the total solar light energy which is received by a plant is absorbed and transformed by photosynthesis into energy containing organic molecules, which here includes starch. The rest of the sun's energy passes out of the plant as heat, and primary production is the rate basically at which plants produce new organic matter through photosynthesis. I think that point is clear. Question number 164. Which ecosystem has the following characteristics? Most have 3 levels of plants. Okay, lichen, moss, ferns, wildflowers and other small plants can be found on the forest floor. It is definitely not mangroves at all, absolutely not. Shrubs fill in the middle level, and hardwood trees like maple, oak, birch, magnolia, sweet gum and beech make up the 3rd level. So this is definitely, we are talking about temperate deciduous forest, and this is a typical example of that. Lichens moss are also found in tundra, but you will not find like hardwood trees there. So mangroves and tundra both goes out of the picture. Answer is C. So temperate deciduous forest can be found in the eastern part of the United States and Canada, and most of Europe and parts of China and Japan. And temperate deciduous forest, they get between 30 and 60 inches of precipitation a year, and this, like, the precipitation happens year round. And the leaves of the deciduous trees, they change color and fall off in the autumn, and they grow back in the spring. Question number 165. Consider the following trees. Mango tree. Okay, which of the following is an evergreen tree? So mango tree is definitely an evergreen tree. Teak wood tree is not an evergreen tree, and sandalwood tree is an evergreen tree. So answer here is C, that is 1 and 3. So mango tree is an evergreen tree, and mangoes are found in all the tropical regions of the world and lowland, tropical and subtropical areas. Teak is basically a tropical hardwood deciduous tree, not an evergreen tree, that occurs in the mixed hardwood forest. And sandalwood is an evergreen tree which generally grows in the dry deciduous forests of the Deccan Plateau. Question number 166. The productivity of an ecosystem. Basically, productivity goes on decreasing from the equator to the poles. So answer here is C. So that the productivity is always highest at the equatorial, basically tropical rainforest, and it is lowest towards the poles because there are hardly any plants there. So productivity is drastically low. So answer here is C. So the productivity of an ecosystem depends on the level of heat, moisture, nutrients available, competition, amount of sunlight, age and health of plants, and hence this productivity increases towards the equator and it decreases away from it towards the poles. So that statement is absolutely correct. So answer is C for 166. Question number 167. Which of the following statements is correct? So biodiversity refers to the quantity or weight. This is wrong. Biomass refers to total plant weight including above ground and surface. This is wrong. The productivity of open sea is less than that of shelf zone. So this is correct. So answer here is C. So the productivity of open ocean is less than that of shelf zones, and at greater depths the amount of total solar radiation present is usually insufficient to support the process of photosynthesis, and maximum values of productivity can be attained in shallow water bodies with large quantities of mineral compounds which are essential for plant growth. And biomass basically refers to the quantity or weight of living matter per unit per time. Okay. Question number 168. Which of the following statements are correct? Food chain is the transfer of food energy from one trophic level or nutrition level to another in a series of steps. So that is also correct. And a complex food chain is an indication of large and well developed biodiversity. So answer here is C, both 1 and 2. So here, like, both these statements are correct. So food chain is indeed the transfer of food energy, and complex food chain is indicator of well developed biodiversity. So the path of energy through the trophic levels of an ecosystem is called as a food chain, and energy is transferred along the food chains from one trophic level to the next. But amount of available energy always decreases, just 10% goes, 90% goes to waste. And complex food chain implies that the biodiversity is very stable. Question number 169. Which of the following are correctly matched? Namdapha National Park, it is in Arunachal Pradesh, that is correct. Dachigam National Park is in Jammu and Kashmir, this is also correct. Periyar National Park is in Kerala, so this is definitely wrong. So answer here is only the first and second statement are correct. So answer here is C, that is 1 and 2. So Namdapha National Park was established in 1974 in Arunachal Pradesh, and Dachigam National Park, it was established in 1981 in Jammu and Kashmir. On the other hand, Periyar National Park was established in 1982 in Kerala. And question number 170. The production of a complex chemical compound from simpler precursors in a living organisms, which usually involve enzymes, is known as, so that is basically biosynthesis. So bioremediation is basically use of either naturally occurring or deliberately introduced microorganisms to consume and break down environmental pollutants in order to clean a polluted site. And biodegradation is basically disintegration of materials by bacteria, fungi or other biological means. Hey guys, what's up? So let us discuss question number 171 to 118, environment and ecology. Let's get started. See, like, if you want to use this course properly, first of all I would like to say that go through the entire 1000 MCQs properly, and try to solve them, learn the explanation, otherwise it is absolutely meaningless. Okay, it will not work otherwise. Question number 171, which of the following are the reason for the thickness of the atmosphere being maximum at equator? So it has high insolation and strong convection currents which occur in troposphere over the equator. So yes, this is one of the biggest reason why it is the thickness is maximum at equator. Air is less dense at equator. Yes, this is also a very big reason. And centrifugal force due to Earth's rotation is maximum at equator. This is also correct. So answer here is D, 1, 2, 3. So regions near the equator, they receive more sunlight than the poles, making them hotter and less air dense. So equatorial gases reach greater heights to exert the same pressure as at the poles. And basically Earth is rotating at a spin of 24 hours per spin, and the gas molecules which are at poles are closer to this rotational axis, while those which are near to the equator are farther away on a larger radius. Therefore, the air which is present at equator will experience a greater centrifugal force and it will move farther away from Earth. That is why the atmosphere is thicker here. Okay. Question number 172. According to Malthus, okay, human population grows exponentially while food production grows at arithmetic rate. So what is arithmetic? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, or it can be like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. These are all arithmetic progression where you add something, but geometric is 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, where you are multiplying it by a certain number. So answer here is A, arithmetic rate. So Thomas Robert Malthus was the first economist to propose a systematic theory of population, and he articulated his views regarding population in his famous book, Essay on the Principles of Population, for which he collected a lot of empirical data to support his thesis. And in Essay on the Principle of Population, Malthus proposes the principle that human population basically grows exponentially, that is, it doubles with each cycle, while food production grows at an arithmetic rate, that is, by the repeated addition of a uniform increment in each uniform interval of time. Thus, while food output was likely to increase in a series of 25-year intervals in the arithmetic progression 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, population was capable of increasing in the geometric progression like 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and so forth. But obviously this is not correct. Food production is also kept up with the population, and population is like now declining in most of the countries. So this theory did not work. Bhopal gas tragedy was caused by the leak of, this is an important question for various government exam. Answer is methyl isocyanate, MIC gas. So Bhopal disaster, also called as Bhopal tragedy, it happened on 3rd December 1984, and it was a gas leak incident in India. Union Carbide was the company, and it is considered the world's worst industrial disaster, and occurred on 3rd December 1984 at Union Carbide India Limited, which is a pesticide plant in Bhopal, and it caused because of the leak of methyl isocyanate gas and lots of other chemicals. Question number 174. Which ecosystem has the following characteristics of plants found in them? When you talk about nematophores, the only possible answer is mangroves. Okay, everything goes out of the picture. So nematophores are basically, pneuma means air, phores means pores. So these are pores in the plant roots, which help the plant in respiration because they grow in very marshy area. So the moisture, the air is not there in the water. So they have nematophores, blind roots, to overcome the respiration problems in the anaerobic soil conditions, and they exhibit viviparity mode of reproduction, that is, seeds germinate in the tree itself before falling to the ground. So answer here is mangrove. So these are adaptations to survive there. They have anaerobic soil conditions, saline water. Hence, to overcome these problems, plants have adapted by producing nematophores and germinating seeds in the tree itself. Question number 175. Lichens are important in the studies on atmospheric pollution because they are very sensitive to pollution. That is why they are very important. So answer here is D. They are sensitive to air pollutants. Lichens are small, non-vascular plants. They are made up of algae and fungus, and they grow together in one tissue. And even though some lichens are extremely tough and grow in very inhospitable habitats, they are very sensitive to air pollutants, especially sulfur dioxide, heavy metals, and they have no outer impermeable layer of tissue to exclude gases and particles. That is why it will impair their metabolism, and that is why they are so sensitive. And consequently, accumulation of pollutants is greater than it is in the foliage of vascular plants, which have impermeable cuticles. And lichens accumulate unusually large amounts of deposits, including the heavy metals, which will eventually reach toxic concentrations. Question number 176. Which of the following is correct about greenhouse effect? So if you increase in the temperature due to increase in the CO2 concentration of the atmosphere, obviously greenhouse effect has to increase the temperature, and this is not oxygen, this has to be CO2. So answer here is C, that is increase in temperature due to increase in the carbon dioxide concentration of the atmosphere. So the greenhouse effect increases the temperature of earth by trapping heat in our atmosphere, and greenhouse effect is basically caused by the interaction of the sun's energy with the greenhouse gases. There are lots of them like CO2, methane, nitrous oxide, fluorinated gases in the earth's atmosphere, and the ability of these gases to trap heat is what causes the greenhouse effect. Question number 177, which of the following forms the main sources of non-exhaust vehicular pollution? Tire wear, yes. Wear from braking systems, yes. Clutch wear, road surface wear, all of them. So answer here is D, 1, 2, 3, 4. So main sources of non-exhaust vehicular emissions include tire, brake, clutch, road surface wear, and other degradation. They release significant amount of zinc, cadmium, cobalt, chromium, copper, mercury, molybdenum, nickel, and lead. And another source of road dust is wear from braking systems. If you apply rapid brakes, they are exposed to extensive heat from friction, which is transmitted to the brake disc and result in the emission of particles. And asphalt, sandpaper like effects are significant sources of nickel and arsenic in the road dust. Question number 178, the reduction of ozone content of the atmosphere is attributed to which of the following chemicals? So answer is CFC. So chlorofluorocarbons are the main cause of stratospheric ozone depletion, and they have a lifetime of over 20 to 100 years, and consequently one free chlorine can do a lot of damage, destroying ozone molecules for hundreds of years. And when UV radiation hits a CFC molecule, it causes one chlorine atom to break away. It combines with ozone and breaks the ozone into the oxygen molecules, destroying the ozone into oxygen. And when an oxygen molecule hits the molecule of chlorine, the two atoms join and form an oxygen molecule again. And when this happens, the chlorine atom is again free and it continues to destroy ozone again and again and again. Question number 179, the tendency of the body to seek and maintain a condition of balance or equilibrium within its internal environment even when faced with external challenges, that is called as homeostasis. So metabolism is basically sum of all the chemical reaction that is taking place inside you, and hibernation is basically winter inactivation, and estivation is summer inactivation. So as you can see, inactivity and metabolic depression which happens in winter or the cold environment. Question number 180, the Demodox folliculorum mite makes its home in human hair follicles, while Demodox brevis lives in oil secreting glands on the skin. This is an example of basically commensalism, where one species get benefited, other derives neither benefit nor harm. Okay. Amensalism is where like one gets harmed and other gets no benefit at all. Mutualism when both the species get benefit. So thank you for watching this lesson. Hey guys, what's up? So let us discuss environment and ecology, question 181 to 190. Question number 1, consider the following statements. Destruction of Himalayan ecosystem. Which of the following activities can include ecosystem instability? So yes, if you destroy your Himalayan ecosystem, obviously it will lead to ecological instability, no doubt about it. Then replacement of natural vegetation, yes, that point is also absolutely true. Then you have introduction of exotic species, so that is also correct. So all these 3 points basically will lead to ecosystem instability. So answer here is D, 1, 2, 3, all these 3 are correct. So ecosystem instability refers to the state when an ecosystem is unable to adjust with environmental changes, and ecosystem instability can occur due to natural factors such as massive volcanic eruption, climate change like ice age, and it is also induced due to man-made activities like destruction of Himalayan ecosystem due to deforestation, overgrazing, which leads to increased weathering and erosion of soil. Then you have replacement of natural vegetation and animal species by a lot of cultivation, or if you change the land use by urban land use. Introduction of exotic plant species such as water hyacinth, etc. Then changing the proportion of atmospheric gases, etc. Question number 182. Which of the following are considered as an part of the aquatic ecosystem? Aquatic biome, coral reefs, yes, definitely these are considered part. Then you have kelps, so that is also correct, absolutely right. Then you have estuaries, so that is also correct. So answer here becomes D, that is 1, 2, 3. So an aquatic biome basically includes ecosystem like estuaries, coral reefs, kelp, forests. And what are coral reefs? Coral reefs are basically very diverse underwater ecosystem which are held together by the calcium carbonate structure, okay, secreted by the corals. So that point is correct. And kelp is a type of marine seaweed. It is a brown algae, and they are recognized as one of the most productive and dynamic ecosystems on the earth. And an estuary is basically a partially enclosed coastal body of brackish water with one or more rivers or streams flowing into it, and with a free connection to the open sea. So all these points are absolutely correct. The answer is D, 1, 2, 3. Question number 183. CFC not only causes ozone depletion, it also contributes to global warming. So that statement, this statement here is absolutely correct. Question number point number 2. Greenhouse gases effect makes the ozone depletion worse. So that is also correct. So answer here becomes C, both 1 and 2, because both these statements are correct here. So CFC not only causes ozone depletion, it also contributes to global warming. So that point is absolutely correct. And for your second point, a link with ozone depletion is that CFCs are gases which also links to greenhouse warming. Okay, so that is not an issue. And a greenhouse effect basically warms the surface. It allows the higher atmosphere where ozone is present to cool down, and this means that the more stratospheric clouds may form, and so the ozone hole will eventually worsen. So answer here is C, that is both 1 and 2. So both these statements are correct. Question number 184. If you open the door of a car that has been left parked in the sun for a couple of hours, you'll notice that the temperature inside the car is much warmer than the outside. Why does this happen? This happens because of the greenhouse effect. So because the windows of the car allow the sunlight to enter, and this light, once inside, it is partially converted into heat, but windows do not allow the heat inside the car to pass through as easily as light, so some of this heat will accumulate. Now the net effect is that the more heat remains in the car than come out, increasing the temperature inside the car. So this is what happens with earth also, with a carbon dioxide sheet. Question number 185. Which of the following statements about bioindicators are correct? A bioindicator is a living organism that gives us an idea of the health of an ecosystem. So that statement is absolutely correct. Lichen is a bioindicator species which is very, very sensitive to air pollution. So both these statements are correct. Answer here is C, that is both 1 and 2. So a bioindicator is basically any species or group of species whose function, population, status, etc. Can reveal the qualitative status. Yes, this is correct, because they can reveal a lot about the environment. So that statement is 100% correct. Lichens are excellent bioindicators, biomonitors, because the presence or absence of sensitive species, basically you can know whether the pollution is there or not. So that is also there. And voids in distribution may indicate whether lichens have died out due to heavy metals or sulfur oxide pollution. Question number 186. Which of the following has the highest net primary productivity? So whenever they ask this question, answer is estuaries in these three. So estuaries productivity in continental shelf, basically the shallow regions, is always higher than in the deep oceans. Why? Because sunlight does not penetrate so deep. So that point you have to consider. And estuaries have very high productivity because like river water has a lot of fresh nutrients with it, and that comes into the cycle. And areas that are warm and wet generally are more productive, and overall the amount of water available will limit the primary production. Hence many terrestrial ecosystems have lesser net primary productivity than the marine ecosystem, especially the estuaries, swamps and marshes. Question number 187. It is an assertion reason type of question. Okay, so assertion says most major fisheries are at points of upwelling. So this is correct. Areas where cold currents swell up continuously from the seabed are constantly supplied with nutrients. This is also correct. So it is the correct explanation as well. So upwelling is a process in which deep cold water will rise towards the surface, and this will bring the nutrients along with it. And these nutrients fertilize surface water, meaning that these surface waters often have high biological productivity. So a lot of fishes will be there, and you can do a lot of fishing here. Question number 188. Productivity in the Arctic Ocean is usually very low. This is absolutely correct, because a lot of cold is there, so it will restrict the enzyme activity, even though all the other requirement for photosynthesis may be in excess. So you need temperature for photosynthesis. So answer is A. So primary productivity is strongly dependent upon light and the nutrients and even the temperature. Since the temperature is very low, enzymes activity get restricted and photosynthesis cannot occur. that much. Obviously some happen. The deciduous trees and plants shed leaves too, because they will freeze in the winter rather. So answer is avoid damage of freezing in the winter. So in the cold winter, deciduous trees and plants grow into dormancy, kind of like sleep. It is too cold for them to protect their leaves from the damage of freezing in the winter. So they simply dispose them, seal up the places where the leaves attach to the branch, and the warmer spring days signal to the trees that they can grow the leaves again now, and finally basically restart the cycle. So how does it happen? How does the tree leaves fall? So there is a plant hormone which is called as ABA, or also called as abscisic acid. So there are 5 hormones: auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, abscisic acid, and ethylene. So it is the abscisic acid that is responsible for this. So they may ask you which is responsible for ripening of the fruits. Answer is the ethylene. If they ask you which is responsible for falling of the tree leaves, then answer is abscisic acid. Then question number 190, which of the following act as a limiting factor for photosynthesis under the natural condition? Answer is B, that is carbon dioxide. That is why if there is global warming because of CO2, photosynthesis will actually increase. So 3 factors can limit the speed of photosynthesis: light intensity, CO2, and temperature. Okay, and photosynthesis is limited by the concentration of CO2 in the air, and even if there is plenty of light, a plant cannot photosynthesize if there is insufficient CO2. Thank you for watching this lesson. Hey guys, what's up? So we are discussing, and finally we are reaching the 200th mark, that is 20% completion of environment and ecology. As I promised, I will cover 1000 MCQs from the static portion of environment and ecology, and by the time you are done watching this course, you will have so much knowledge about environment and ecology that you might not even need to study any book. Obviously you need to study newspaper and Yojana and whatnot for current affairs, but that's about it. So let us discuss question number 191 to 200. Okay. Forests play a very important role in flood prevention. Yes, everybody knows about it, right? If you have a lot of mangroves, it will not lead to tsunami devastation. Trees hold the soil together and they prevent erosion by rainy water. This statement is also correct, and it is the correct reason. So both the assertion and reason are true. Reason is the correct explanation of A. Answer becomes A. So forest can retain excess rainwater, it prevents extreme runoffs, and it reduces the damage from flooding. Even when there is a lot of tsunami, the mangroves area, if they have a lot of mangroves, it does not affect it that much. But if you cut the mangroves, it really destroys that particular area. Question number 192, which of the following are correctly matched? Carbon dioxide, water vapor, methane, yes, they are greenhouse gases. Yes, they lead to greenhouse effect. Yes, they lead to global warming. Yes, they lead to climate change. Yes, they lead to severe repercussions. Increased biological oxygen demand happens in eutrophication. That is also correct. Eutrophication is a phenomenon where an enclosed water body like lake, etc., get rich in phosphorus and nitrogen, and this leads to the production of algae, and algal bloom happens. Usually it happens when there is an industrial runoff. It leads to growth of the algae. It leads to increased biological oxygen demand. It leads to reduced oxygen supply. It leads to the death of the species in this particular zone of the lake. Nitrosomonas and nitrobacter denitrification, this is wrong. They help in nitrification. So answer is C, 1 and 2. So nitrosomonas and nitrobacter, they help in nitrification. What do you mean by nitrification? In nature, it is a two-step oxidation process of ammonia to nitrate catalyzed by the two bacterial groups. And the first reaction is oxidation of ammonium to nitrite, and the second reaction is oxidation of nitrite to nitrate. First is done by nitrosomonas, second is done by nitrobacter. Question number 193, identify the fruit using the following features. It grows in lowland, tropical and subtropical areas. Cannot identify. It requires a frost-free climate. Must have warm, dry weather to suit said fruit. It is also called a national fruit of India. Just by knowing the last fact, if you know it, then only you can guess the answer. Answer is basically mango, Mangifera indica. So national fruit of India is mango. Aam phalo ka raja hai. So national fruit of India is the mango. And the mango is a fleshy stone fruit, belong to the genus Mangifera, and they are rich in vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin D, and it is also called as the king of fruits. Question number 194, which of the following are regarded as environmental movements? Chipko movement is definitely an environmental movement. It is also called as Chipko Andolan, non-violent social and ecological movement. Second is Narmada Bachao Andolan. Yes, this is also there. And third is Silent Valley movement. It is there in Palakkad district of Kerala. It's a silent valley and evergreen tropical forest. So answer here is D, 1, 2, 3. All of these are regarded as environmental movements in one way or the other. So Chipko movement, also called as Chipko Andolan, is a non-violent social and ecological movement by rural villagers, particularly the women in India in the 70s, and it is aimed at protecting trees, forests, which are slated for government-backed logging. And so basically, if government wants to cut them, even then people don't allow the government to cut it. Narmada Bachao Andolan was a mass movement which started in 1985 against the construction of dam across Narmada River, which would submerge hundreds of villages, cause extensive ecological damage. So this is also correct. Then you have a Silent Valley movement, and it was aimed at the protection of Silent Valley. Silent Valley is basically an evergreen tropical forest in the Palakkad district of Kerala. Question number 195. Which of the following are correctly matched? Equatorial region, just imagine Kerala. Yes, there is rain throughout the year, all the time. Savannah region has summer rains. Yes, that is correct. Most of the rainfall occurs during summers. And Mediterranean have summer drought and they have wet winters. And hot and dry summers and mild and wet and cool winters. Answer is D, 1, 2, 3. So tropical rainforest have no summer or winter. It is typically hot and wet throughout the year and rainfall is both heavy and frequent. Savanna basically experiences the most rainfall in the year during the summers. And Mediterranean climate typically experiences hot and dry summers where there is not much rain. And they have mild wet winters. Question number 196. Mangroves is an example for a climax vegetation along which of the following regions? So they are found along the coasts. Okay. So under the right construction and right conditions, like when there is delta formation, etc., when there is formation of mud flat, growth of mangroves is initiated. And stabilization of mud flat is a preliminary process in the establishment of mangroves. And pioneer plant species basically initiate the process of stabilization of mud flats. Now roots of these plants, they help in binding the soil and they also help the establishment of microorganisms which further help in stabilizing the area. And stabilization starts from the land side, gradually shift towards the sea. And pioneer plants are slowly replaced by mangrove plants. And once mangroves grow, the submerged banks are fully stabilized. And plants slowly reach a stage where it is called as the climax vegetation, where it is in equilibrium with the environment. Which of the following chemical is used in artificial rain? Answer is silver iodide. So the process involved in artificial rain making involves 3 easy to understand stages. First is agitation. You agitate it, so use the chemicals to stimulate the air mass. Second is build up stage. Here the cloud mass is built up using chemicals. And finally bombardment of chemicals such as supercool agents. So silver iodide and dry ice, they are used to reach the most unbalanced status, which builds up large beads of water nuclei, and they have to fall down as raindrops because of gravity. Question number 198. The interaction between mosquito and human being is an example of parasitism. So mosquitoes are parasite on us. Commensalism means when one species is benefited, other does not care, neither benefit nor harm. Amensalism basically means where one species is inhibited or destroyed, other remains when not benefited, neither harm, remains unaffected. Third is predation, where one eats the other, and parasitism is basically a non-mutual relationship between species, where one species, the parasite, benefits at the expense of the other, who is called as the host. Question number 199. When too much sewage enters water bodies, fish die because, see, whenever sewage or industrial effluents they come, they are rich in nitrogen, phosphorus, etc. It leads to enrichment of the lake. U means good, trophication means nutrition. So it leads to good nutrition of the lakes. It results in asphyxiation of the fish and fish dies. So fish mortality highlights asphyxiation due to enhanced biological activities with high nutrient input into the lake through the sewage and increased organic content and availability of sunlight. We'll see more algae growth which compete with fish for oxygen, and this is also called as eutrophication. Okay. And question number 200. Which of the following statements about the cause of the acid rain is correct? Gases released during combustion, they combine with water to form the acid rain. So this is correct. CFCs cause the breakup of molecules to produce acids. This is wrong. Radiation causing a reaction with water as a result of the hole in the ozone layer. This is also wrong. Answer is A, 1 only. So acid rain is caused by emission of sulfur dioxide, which converts into sulfuric acid, nitrogen oxide, which converts into nitric acid, and they react with the water molecules to produce these acids. Thank you for watching this lesson. 200 are done, 800 more to go.